All right, a quick update as we move through the evening hours. New winter storm warnings out for a very populated area here across central Virginia. These were winter weather advisories earlier. We had some winter storm watches. Now winter storm warnings for Richmond, Henrico, all the way down to the North Carolina border here, down I-85, and then moving west. These are new too. We're looking at winter storm warnings, including the hill city of Lynchburg, back to Roanoke too. So we could see several inches of snow here. The new model guidance definitely showing a little more snow on the latest runs that just came out this evening. So the National Weather Service opting to go ahead and do that. So heavy snow possible. We still have the winter weather advisories all the way down to Raleigh, back across. It does include Greensboro. It does include Winston-Salem, High Point, but you're right on the line here for heavy snow. Let's look at the models. We also have winter weather advisories going as far west. Check this out. Expanded a little bit further back to Lexington along I-64. Could get a little tricky tonight into early tomorrow morning, all the way up to Huntington and Charleston, West Virginia. And again, these expand all the way now. New data coming in, strong enough for winter weather advisories to be extended all the way to Virginia Beach. So Chesapeake, Suffolk, Norfolk, up to Newport News, up the peninsula to Williamsburg. We're under winter weather advisories all the way out to the eastern shore. This doesn't go up into Maryland, though. It stops. And then you've got the warnings, though, kicking in. Once you get back here on 64 coming into Richmond, winter storm warnings. And again, remember, your winter storm warning criteria across this part of the country is a lot different than it is across the northern tier, where we actually already have winter weather, or I should say winter storm watches up, including Grand Forks and Fargo for our next snow that's going to slip in. And I'll tell you what, this one, this could drop some heavy snow over the next couple of days in places where we've already just piled the snow up. It's crazy to see how much snow many of you have seen. Let's go on with what we're looking at tonight in the live stream. And while we're on here, this heavy snow getting a little bit stronger on the 18Z European, also on the 18Z and the 0Z NAM. That's the run that runs at Zulu time 0Z. So it comes out about this time of night every night. And again, I am one who would sit in front of a computer monitor and have to go in front of people every night and say, I don't know if I believe the NAM or not. Listen, here's the deal. I don't know that I believe the NAM. I'm in front of you guys tonight telling you here on YouTube. But here's the deal. If the European wasn't so strong here and the HRRR also showing a few spots of purple trying to dot in here, this is no wonder you've seen the National Weather Service, again, push those warnings all the way back to the Roanoke Valley. I think you watch up into the Shenandoah Valley, possibly as far north as Lexington, maybe up along the I-81 corridor. And then notice how the NAM's trying to do something funky here into Southwest Virginia with 6+ inches in a few spots. I don't know if I believe it, and I don't know that we're going to get 6 inches in Richmond, but a good 2 to 5 becoming a little more likely with some of that banded snow here, again, stretching back to Roanoke, Lynchburg, Roanoke, along the 460 corridor that runs here. That's U.S. Route 460 back to Roanoke. So I think some heavy snow, and then it's going to go into the mountains too here of Southwest Virginia and Southern West Virginia. I think the model runs a little heavier across this entire region this evening. Again, the reason for the update tonight is we've seen these new areas of winter storm warnings get popped out here across, some would argue, the south, right? You're into Richmond now, all the way down to the North Carolina line with this snow that's going to be moving through the overnight. All right, let's continue to widen this out because I know not everyone is watching here in Virginia, West Virginia, Tennessee, and North Carolina. You may be watching in Georgia where it's just a plain rain. No snow for you guys. And it may actually start off as a little bit of rain as far north as Blacksburg, the New River Valley, into Roanoke. You see this on the NAM. Again, the NAM is pretty aggressive with the snow, but it's starting off with rain. Once that precipitation starts to pick up, we also have something going on too. But once the precipitation picks up, it's going to turn to snow. But let me flip through a couple of maps. Excuse me, if you will. Let me go back here, and I want to put this into motion. Watch the nature of this cold air moving in from the north. Can you see it? Right? So your precipitation is moving into this cold air that's getting reinforced. So not only are you cooling the atmosphere dynamically as some cold air aloft moves through, you're also pumping some cold air in at the surface. So it turns cold. And that's also going to help with the forcing, I think, that forces that lift and that rise. So Here comes the heavier bands of snow right around that morning commute, 7 a.m. here. I think it's going here along the Virginia-West Virginia border, starting to pick up from Roanoke into Lynchburg, up into southern West Virginia, and now into North Carolina. Don't expect snow when you wake up in Greensboro, Winston-Salem. I think it's all north of you at this point. The NAM is really saying this is a Virginia snow. I would agree with that. I've always agreed with that. I didn't think North Carolina was in the game for a heavy dump of snow ever, whatsoever. If anything, I think you're pushing your snow a little bit further north, at least the heavier potential into parts of central West Virginia, say draw a line from Charleston east to about north of Snowshoe, not quite to Elkins, but I think Elkins will get some snow out of this, but it doesn't move very far north. That dry air that I showed you that's bringing that cold air in, it's also limiting the northward propagation of the precipitation. And I think that creates some heavier bands of snow here into central Virginia as we head into Monday afternoon and Monday evening. The snow will continue back across the southern and central Appalachians here in the Cumberland Plateau of Kentucky. It'll start to taper off across West Virginia, Southwest Virginia. We may into some snow into the Tri-Cities, but Knoxville, it's all rain for you. And then as the cold air comes in, right? If you've been watching in Greensboro and Winston-Salem and Raleigh, look, the bulk of the precip, right? It's just to your north. In Charlotte, sorry, you're not in this game. Maybe next time we'll play the snowstorm game here. But look, the new NAM, very cold. And I'll tell you what, not quite cold enough down to the beach to see all snow. Okay, I don't know. This is something to watch here. I'm going to go in and see if we can get a little bit closer in here. How about this? This is pretty close in here to Norfolk and Virginia Beach. Again, this is the newest run of the NAM. Trying to mix everything over to snow as we get into the morning hours of Monday. But notice how the NAM is keeping things all liquid, almost liquid until the very end here along Virginia Beach. Something to keep an eye on. Now the HRRR, let's go back over to it and compare the latest run, which again, and then we're going to back up, guys. I know a lot of you may not even be looking here. Very limited population that I'd be speaking to a national audience. But yeah, even the HRRR tries to keep everything here snow or rain, I should say, until the end, right along the beach. So it's interesting to see those advisories get pushed all the way out. More to come on that. Again, there's those winter storm warnings if you're just joining the live stream that we're talking about here across Virginia. Let's look at some new data coming in this evening as well on the European. We've got another stripe of snow that's dropping in across the northern plains and some big snow and rain going across the west. This snow is going to continue to come down across the Pacific Northwest. Heavy snow into British Columbia. I'm telling you what, this is a lot of snow. Now, my friends in Colorado, Arizona, if you're in Utah, it's been a tough start to the winter. You need some snow, right? That snowpack has to build up. And unfortunately, what we're not seeing is a big trough and big storm swinging into the southwest. I don't see that changing in the short term. Someone asked me, when is this dome of high pressure going to go away across Colorado, across the plateau area here? What's going on across the Great Basin? I'll tell you what's going on. A ridge. And as long as this is set up, there's not going to be much change. And we will take a look at the long range, which I think shows a little bit of relief if you're hoping for some precipitation, but the snow continues here. And look how tight these isobars are packed up against the Rockies. You know what that means? That's some cold, dense air sliding down east of the mountains, and we are definitely going to stay cold, again, east of the Rockies. Let's go east. Let's talk about this next snow. New data coming in that we're looking at fresh off the press. This is the evening European. Now, again, I showed you a couple of other model runs. The HRRR pretty heavy with the snow just to the north of, well, it might actually go right through Green Bay at this point, the heaviest bands through central Michigan. So it looks to me like a pretty heavy band of snow, and behind this some cold, windy conditions. It's going to turn really cold, too, across Indiana and Illinois with snow showers lingering. And again, let's go back to the HRRR and let's look at this region again up into parts of the Great Lakes. You know, this snow could really add up here over the next couple of days. I mean, you're talking about, I don't know how much snow you have on the ground right now in some areas, especially into parts of the UP of Michigan. We're dealing with feet of snow on the ground. Now, this is the HRRR. It doesn't go out as far, but it shows your snow there into Virginia, West Virginia. But look at this. There you go. Some snow moving into the Arrowhead. We're talking about a good 2 to 4. And some of the newest data trying to show 6+ inches here across northern Wisconsin. Again, where we're just getting more snow hammering out. And now the snow moving back into Ontario. And look at the pinks showing up with our second clipper. So you're doubling up here. We're talking about more than a foot of snow, I think, here into southern parts of Ontario, right along the Minnesota border, and then sliding down here into the UP of Michigan, northern Wisconsin, Beyond this, okay, let me flip sources here. Bear with me. Let's go over to the European. I do want to push this out a little bit further. These numbers are a little bit lighter, not as convective as what I just showed you on the HRRR, but look at all of the snow that's showing up. It's just going to continue around the Great Lakes as these clipper systems continue to drop in across this region. We're also getting some snow back across the prairies of Canada that continue to drop down from the northwest as this cold air gets reinforced. Let's go back. Let's see here. This is a much wider look. We're also looking into the Dakotas. This kind of tells the story of how that snow is going to streak out this week, again, into North and South Dakota. I've got some folks in Winnipeg watching. The snow's avoiding you here. Yes, it is indeed the snow hole once again this week as we head into Monday and Tuesday. But some heavier snow back across Alberta and also Saskatchewan. Try to scream in from the northwest with more snow, again, diving down into Minnesota. And that snow could get heavy as we put down quite a bit of snow across northern parts of these provinces. But look at this, down into eastern Montana. Maybe some heavier snow picking up by the time we get into Saturday on the east side of the mountains here, trying to move into the Dakotas. So there's going to be quite a bit of active weather over the upcoming days. Here's a closer look at that snow falling across the Dakotas and the Minnesota on the European. Again, some areas could get more than 6 inches. This takes it all the way through Wednesday. There's a look at your temperatures. Cold around the Great Lakes. Warming up, though. Not bad. How about this side of things tonight? As we talk about these winter storm warnings, temperatures climbing into the 60s in North Dakota. Yeah, that's not going to last. We're back into the 30s on Wednesday. Further to the east we go. The snow, by the way, is still going in Maine tonight. It's going to get pretty heavy, too, right here along the coast. We could get several inches of snow. That wraps up. And then there comes the snow again through the Mid-Atlantic. If you're just joining, you can back it up. I don't know about the Mid-Atlantic, right? We're not talking about New Jersey up here into Maryland. We're down into Virginia, almost into North Carolina. And then that moves offshore. Once that's done, our attention turns back to the west with some lighter snow moving through Ontario. The second system, again, I think that's going to bring that heavy band right across, again, Wisconsin, Michigan, into Ontario, London, Ontario, Hamilton, Toronto. You're going to get some snow out of this. Buffalo, Syracuse, Rochester, the snow is on the way. And we could even see some snow further to the south into Pennsylvania out of this. The heaviest band, though, I think, is going to be here, right? It's going to move into parts of Canada, northern parts of New York, upstate New York, now into the higher elevations of the Green and White Mountains, and then to northern Maine. And then as this moves out into Quebec, that snow continues to push off to the east. And now our lake effect kicks in, right? So congratulations, UP of Michigan. More snow to pile up for you. We'll also get some snow maybe into South Bend with this flow off of Lake Michigan. Decent fetch, too, here off of Lake Superior, Huron, picking up again off of Lake Erie. So you got to wonder from Erie, Jamestown, Dunkirk, is this going to be a good snow for you? Possibly spilling into the mountains here of a PA. So a good lake effect setup. And then our winds start to veer a little bit out of the west. And man, is this going to be a good fetch off of Lake Ontario to put that snow into the Tug Hill? We've not really seen a good setup like that just quite yet. And then look, another clipper system bringing snow here into the northeast. Let's widen things out. Well, there's your temperatures, by the way. I've been accused of skipping the temperatures in the east sometimes. Sorry about that. All right, let's go ahead into Tuesday. We've talked about Monday already. A little bit warmer across the south, and then into Wednesday, we really see that warm air try to move back into the Carolinas, but it's not going to last here either. Our next cold blast moving in from the northwest, you can see it, knocking our temperatures back in the south down too, into the 30s and 40s. Highs, though, rebound right along the Gulf Coast ahead of the next real cold Arctic blast, below zero temperatures on Saturday morning, maybe for Toledo, Indianapolis. That's some cold. Let's talk long range, and I will leave you with this here, guys. Yeah, I have no idea what's up with the face cam. No clue why it's lagging. I don't know. It's technology. It's a live stream. It is what it is. So here's what's happening across the Arctic. Again, we are going to be dealing with certainly a setup that's not going to be super favorable for cold or storminess in the west, right? One thing's for sure. I just think this cold is going to continue to dump into the east. And one of the reasons, well, you've got this trough that's set up back to the west of Hawaii, northwest of Hawaii, big ridge across Alaska. So you're just going to keep dumping that cold air into the northeast and also into the central U.S. And look what's happening across the southwest. Big ridge, right? What's not happening? Storms are not coming into the west coast. However, let's go ahead and take this out just a little bit further. We will look at the long range weeklies here, and we'll take it all the way out into December. Now, listen, I know the long range. I get so much heat on this channel, you guys would not believe it. People, y'all, this is guidance, right? I don't have a crystal ball, but I can tell you what I'm seeing. And when we look at these different members, what we are seeing toward the end of the month is this trough northwest of Hawaii. And while I do think we do see the ridge break down across the west for a little while right here, okay, it may be around the 17th and 18th, and that may put some precipitation into the west. But here's the deal. It looks like everything goes zonal, right? I think there's a battle here that the models aren't seeing. And again, that's that trough to the northwest of Alaska. Still some decent ridging just to the west of Alaska. It's not back into Siberia. If it was, you'd probably not get the cold into the east. But I just see a split polar vortex still. To me, that tells me it's probably sitting somewhere here in the Hudson Bay, and it's spinning around that as that northwest flow. I don't know that there's much of a break ahead. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right, that's all I got for this live stream. If you missed it, you can take it back from the beginning. Thanks for watching, guys.